Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've never spoken before, not a Toastmaster, or don't have any notes prepared or anything, but just wanted to speak out. I think it makes a lot of sense to step back and look at the big picture of what everybody, for the most part, is talking about and really emotional about at this meeting, and that's the Runkle Canyon issue. If so many people are worried about kids and the air they breathe, all these things, I don't think 3 minutes is enough. I mean, when we give someone a doctorate in this country, they have to sit in front of a panel and defend what they believe for, hours at a time, and then we're going to put our own health at risk for it. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to say to anyone in the room that I'm against KB Homes building homes. I'm really, a young adult. I live and work in Simi, and I'd love to have my own home. I can't afford it right now. The more homes we build, the better chance I have to get one. And a little place would be great. We don't build many here, so I love that. But I don't think it's the right place to do it. If we're going to have toxins in the air, the more mountain biking, street running I do, the quicker I die. And I haven't read all the reports. I've just been reading. I'm starting to get into it and read about the issues. Certainly, other citizens in the audience know more than I do, but it just seems like we should do our due diligence, do our homework on it, and try and get to the bottom of it. I was thrilled to hear that you guys did some testing, and that was excellent. And then I was just totally blown back and appalled that it seems like progress is still being made towards building homes instead of pulling the handbrake and saying, whoa, what are we getting ourselves into? I don't know about you guys, I don't like eating batteries, but cadmium's, been found. It's the same thing. I wouldn't put it in my body by choice. I wouldn't blend it up in a blender and make a smoothie out of it and drink it. And I certainly don't want to put it in the air and breathe it. So that's one of so many heavy metals. I mean, you've heard all of them, strontium, all these ones. I'm not a chemist either, I'm an engineer. And I know when you set a test limit on something, you do some experimentation, you find a limit, you don't really make up the limit. I mean, to say we came up with a health limit on something, that's fine. So, okay, so maybe we're a little bit past the limit, for what's healthy for a person. First of all, that's not acceptable. That's why we made a limit in the first place. We didn't say about this much. We said this much is going to have serious health effects. So I don't even want to talk about being a little over or under the limit, but now what happens when we're 200 times over a limit or 400 times over a limit? That's crazy. That's like playing Russian roulette with like 20 bullets in a 6-round revolver. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, thanks for your time. I hope you take the issue to heart and realize that it's probably not, necessarily all of our lives, but it's certainly your children's lives if you have children, that kind of thing, animals. It's not just us. It's the city you represent. Anyway, so I wanted just to take the time as a voter. Thank you.
Thank you. John Luce.
Hello, my name is John Luker. I'm a local resident in Box County. I've been working with an activist group that's been opposing development of the Santa Susana Field Lab for about the last year and a half. I was asked by some local residents to come down and address the City Council tonight and tell you my opposition to the Runkle Ranch development. I understand you guys are about to approve grading permits on the property. I would suggest you put a moratorium on it and wait until the Department of Toxic Substances can take a look at the site. Currently, myself and my compatriots are working with Tom Riley of the Department of Toxic Substances to have the property properly recharacterized. We've been working on a community environmental impact report, and we've been filing the various volumes with the Department of Toxics. They have found them compelling enough to take action on some of it. The Sage Ranch Restoration Project is a result of our efforts. I don't know if you people have ever heard of this. It's within your constituency, and it's drainage directly from the site through Sage Ranch and down into Simi Valley. We found a toxic waste dump on the site. The DTSC looked at it, and they've compelled the polluter to clean it up and remove the material. They're taking out 8,000 cubic yards of material from the creek bed. That's a space the size of 1.5 football fields, 3 feet deep. Now that's material that's just on Sage Ranch. And let me assure you, it's a drop in the bucket to what's up there on top of the mountain. Now it's not a matter of this stuff might be coming down the hill. This stuff is here, and it's been here for a long, long time. For 35 years, asbestos, PAHs, dioxins have been rolling down the Sage Ranch Creek into Simi Valley, and nobody knew about it. I can see by your faces you probably never heard of this before. I urge you to please log on to cleanuprocketdyne.org and look at the various volumes that we filed with the Department of Toxics. Runkle Ranch is going to be built adjacent to the sodium burn pit. I don't know if you guys know what the sodium burn pit is or was. If you did, I think you'd think twice about this. Based on my research, they took primary reactor core coolant, liquid sodium, pumped it into a pond on the back 40, and just let it burn off. The resulting fallout blew in all directions and has contaminated a wide area there. That includes Runkle Ranch. If you found any strontium-90, cesium-137, plutonium-238, uranium-235, or any other constituents of chemicals and or rads from this property, the combination is deadly. And all you're going to need is 3 to 5 years from now, a case of retinal blastoma to be developed in this development, and I'll be back here with that child's mother to address you again. Thank you very much.
Good evening. It's my understanding that the city of Simi Valley was in support of the Senate Bill 990, so you're well aware of what goes on at the Santa Susana Field Lab. 3 units up there, NASA, Boeing, and the Department of Energy, have developed a witch's brew of toxins, as they call it, and it's all leaching down into Brandeis Bardeen, Runkle Ranch, Amundsen Ranch, Bell Canyon, Chatsworth Reservoir. And I urge you to look at the Runkle Ranch development and do some deeper testing and find out what's going on there. Because right next to Runkle Ranch property is Area 4 of the Santa Susana Field Lab. Buildings such as the radioactive materials handling facility, the radioactive materials disposal facility, and of course the sodium reactor experiment, which was the worst nuclear disaster on U.S. soil. 240 times the limit of 3 Mile Island were released into the air, groundwater, soil, all of that. And you're planning on giving this property that's adjacent to it to KB Homes for development. I think you need to look long and hard at this and give it another chance and say no to everything. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Christina Walsh. I'm the founder of cleanuprocketdyne.org, and I have been working on the characterization of the Santa Susana Field Lab since approximately 2001. As Bill mentioned just now, this is the home of the worst nuclear disaster to happen on U.S. soil. Okay, up to 240 times the iodine release of 3 Mile Island was released here. They have refused to release the weather data so that nobody can do the math and do the calculations to figure out which way it went. They have never, and we're talking from the 1950s until today, so we're talking half a century, they have never been on the order of disclosing to the public or telling the truth or telling the whole story. The issue that was pointed out about Sage Ranch, that John pointed out, there is an imminent substantial endangerment order that is being issued as we speak by the Department of Toxic Substance Control. That will be signed by Mr. Norman Riley, who was the project director of the Santa Susana Field Lab cleanup by DTSC. Okay, so this is, again, 8,000 cubic yards of contaminated soil and debris that is going to be removed from that drainage. And they have said that it leads all the way down to the Brandeis property, all the way down to the Brandeis property, all the way down the creek. We are talking elevated levels of lead, polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, highly carcinogenic materials, as well as asbestos. Asbestos has been pouring down the creek. We were able to show a presentation to them using Google Earth and other photographic evidence that we have developed that shows that they cut a road where they dumped this into the creek, possibly for decades. It has been there for decades. Brandeis has known about it for decades, okay? Don't make this mistake now. This cannot be undone. When you start digging this up and putting that contaminated dust into the air, you can't undo it. You are basically re-exposing everybody to the accidents and mistakes of 50 years. And you know better. SB 990, you supported it, you know better. The governor knows better. He made a deal that says that this can only be parkland.